Hello and welcome to this special video where we are revealing the results of the Car Dealer Top 100, a unique list that reveals the top 100 most profitable dealers in the UK. Now, our partners ASE Global and G-Forces have spent months crunching the numbers, and today we can reveal who's finished where. Now, the top 100 is unique because it pitches the franchise dealer groups, the large PLCs, and the independents of all shapes and sizes against each other, giving us a unique picture of the most profitable dealers before the coronavirus pandemic struck. Now, to explain more, joining me is Car Dealer founder James Baggett. Hello, James.
Hello, Badge. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Now, big day this. It's a day that we've all been looking forward to. I gave a brief summary there, but can you just give us a bit more detail on the top 100 and its significance?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, this is something I've wanted to do for a long time, if I'm honest. If you're in business, profit is where it's at. It's the most important number. And I've long looked at lists where it's just ranked by revenue, and really they're pretty meaningless. People are in business to make money, and the profit number is what people want to be judged on. So when we pulled this list together with ASE Global, that's what we wanted to focus it on predominantly. The other thing that I really wanted to do was pitch franchises against independents. You know, all dealers are in this business together, and actually there are some incredible independent businesses out there that really are going to put the challenge to these franchise dealers. So this list, as you've rightly pointed out, is the first time that we've done that. We've done it using the EBITDA profit number, and I'll let Mike Jones in a moment explain a little bit about what that means. But we've adjusted the profit number for exceptional items as presented on the income statement. And it's interesting to see there's some big names on the list that are actually missing too. So we will go into those details about those winners and losers. But first, it's probably a good idea if we catch up with the chairman of ASE Global and the compiler of the Car Dealer Top 100, Mike Jones, who chatted to me earlier this week.
It's been a little bit of a challenge, but the idea was to focus on profit, to focus on combining both franchise retailers and independent retailers, and fundamentally look at who's making the most money. Now, from a cash generation point of view, the sort of industry standard thing to look at is the EBITDA. So that's the profit before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. The idea is that's how much cash you generate in order to then go and either buy things or invest in other businesses or make payments out to shareholders. Tried to normalize the numbers. So where people have had exceptional costs for any number of reasons in a year, they've been adjusted out of the calculation to give sort of the core profitability of the main bit of the business, and also focusing on year ends up to the end of March 2020. Now, given what's gone on this year, that seems like an awful long time ago. We were just touching into coronavirus at that point in time, but it seems like the most or the best time scale for us to look at to give us a really wide population of different retailers.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's talk detail then, James. Just talk me through the highlights.
Yeah, so as Mike's explained there, an EBITDA number, which is slightly different to the number that's right on the bottom line, but the fairest possible way. And on that judgment, Arnold Clark comes in top. I mean, they've absolutely staggering profit number of 194.3 million on a turnover of 4.4 billion. It's an incredible performance. It's one that both Mike and Tim from our headline sponsors, G-Forces, guessed long before we put this list together. And I mean, Arnold Clark have been doing this a long time and have been very, very successful for a long time. In second place is Sytner. Remember, they also encompass a very big used car business in car shop. They've got a higher turnover number of nearly 6 billion, but a profit number of 152 million. Their return on sales compared to Arnold Clark's 2.6% were 1.3%. So shows you the difference there, Batch, between second and first place, and the difference that can make in terms of numbers. And then surprisingly for some people will be the inclusion of Pendragon in third and Lookers in fourth. Those are two businesses that have been reasonably troubled. I think it's probably fair to say. But remember, this is an EBITDA number, and that's why they're in those positions. But to chat about their win, I caught up with Arnold Clark's CEO, Eddie Hawthorne, and asked him what the secret to the group's success was. Eddie, an amazing set of numbers there. You and the team must be very proud indeed of what you achieved last year.
Yeah, we are, James. I mean, 2019 was a good year for the company. I think most of the staff worked really hard, and we got the result that we hopefully deserved.
So, Eddie, everybody's going to be asking the same question. What's the Arnold Clark secret?
If I told you that, James, then we wouldn't win every time. The secret is just genuinely hard working and making sure that you're looking after the pennies every day.
Is there any one key thing that you could say that you could pinpoint that amazing achievement on? I mean, you're very good at used cars, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. I mean, we have a very strong used car business throughout our organisation, and we have our own. We have just now over 30 motor stores which concentrate on used cars. One of the things that we have done, James, is we've spent an awful lot of money on the digital journey with our customers, and trying to make ourselves easy to do business with. So one of the things that we've fully embraced is that digital journey, and believe it or not, giving the customer more power to decide what they want has actually maintained our margins, if not increased them.
And what about next year, Eddie? What are your thoughts for 2021? I mean, obviously there's the vaccine on the horizon, the signs of things getting better. Are you positive about next year?
Definitely, James. I mean, well, put it this way, I don't think it can get any worse than 2020. Again, touch wood, I don't think it's going to get any worse than 2020. We set our stall out to sell the same number of cars, if not more, than we did in 2019. Our managers are embracing that challenge, and we all believe that we can do it. Now, provided that the government allows us to have a relatively stable period of trading, I think that's something that we can achieve.
Great to hear from Eddie Hawthorne there, and you'll be able to watch the full interview on our website soon in the Car Dealer Live section. Now, James, what did Mike and Tim Smith from our headline sponsors have to say about Arnold Clark's win?
Well, I think it's fair to say they weren't surprised they were on top, that's for sure. Arnold Clark is pretty much a juggernaut, really, when it comes to selling cars. And they sell a huge number of used cars above the border up in Scotland and below it. And they've continued to do so this year, actually, despite the lockdowns. But here's what Mike and Tim had to say about our winner.
They do a lot of things brilliantly, and the business is all focused around driving profit, keeping hold of customers, treating them well, and generating a really strong profit stream out of them. They've been doing it for a significant number of years, so they have a huge presence in the industry and the ability to get those economies of scale when it comes to buying cars or services, and they've built a big sort of cash balance over the years that's then enabled them to buy properties, etc. But no, lots of the individual things that they do as operators are well at the top of the industry rankings, and yeah, they make money out of predominantly franchises that lots of other people have been moving away from, and they prove as to what you can do when you make a real focus on used cars and after sales profitability, and also have the scale to be able to drive some great new car deals.
Tim, I caught up with Eddie Hawthorne, CEO of Arnold Clark, earlier, and he said that he was obviously delighted at being at the top of the list. But what I got from that conversation is he's a very steady hand at the tiller, isn't he? He's been at that business for a long period of time. Well, were you surprised that Arnold Clark were at the top of the list, or could you have guessed that long ago?
No, I think we guessed that long ago. I think that was my prediction, and because of exactly the reasons that Mike has outlined. They are well known for operational efficiency despite their scale. And I mean, we've had a couple of people who've worked in our organisation, worked at Arnold Clark on the sales side, and just the processes they go through, the buying, the tuning of every deal, and then the follow-up, and it's making the most out of every single customer. So they retain customers, they sell services to those customers, they keep them, you know, within their organization for a long time. And that's a major win for them. And obviously the scale, but they do it at scale. And that's the reason why they're so profitable.
Now, our list isn't just about franchise dealers, is it, James? I mean, this is the first time that franchise and independents have been pitched together in the top 100. I mean, how did these guys do?
Well, I mean, they did incredibly well, Batch. I mean, they're actually the first place independent is a trade centre group. They came in 7th overall. They turned over £256 million and made a £25 million EBITDA profit. But the incredible thing on this one is their return on sales of 8.3%. Now, remember, compare that back to Arnold Clark's 2.6% in first place, or Sittler's 1.3% in second. It shows you, doesn't it, how good those independents can be. They were ahead of Motorpoint, who were in 10th. They're obviously the listed car supermarket group. They achieved a number of £23.9 million profit. And then it's Big Motoring World in 19th, another car supermarket. Less number of sites, impressively. They've got four car supermarket sites, but still managed to achieve £293 million turnover and £12.4 million EBITDA profit. Incredible numbers from the independents here in this list. I caught up with the CEO, Andy Coulthurst of Trade Centre Wales, to chat about this amazing achievement. You must be incredibly proud of that achievement, Andy.
Yeah, I'm proud. The team will be proud. To be honest with you, we were a bit disappointed in that year. We were hoping for a little bit better than that. We were probably 10% off where we'd want to be. But we're never happy. We're always striving to get that a little bit more.
It's a huge success, though. I mean, I don't think you should talk yourselves down on that front. To be in the top 10. I mean, you're just behind Arnold Clark, Sytner, Pendragon, Lookers, Marshalls, Virtue, then you guys, and ahead of a huge number of franchise dealers in our list. What's the secret to the Trade Centre Group's success?
It's a team of 600 people who are all pushing in the same direction. You know, at the end of the day, we've got robust processing in place. We record everything, we track everything on a daily basis. We report weekly rather than monthly, so we're on the numbers. Albeit the way we structure as a business, it's a little bit like a Groundhog Day every week. So we chase those KPIs, but down to the good job that the guys doing in the training academy do, we're consistent. So you can take a store in South Wales or a store up here in Rochdale, and within very, very small percentages, they deliver consistent results within pounds, shillings and pence of each other on a weekly basis. So it's consistency really, and hard work.
Good to hear Andy's thoughts there, and you'll be able to watch the full interview on the website soon in the Car Dealer Live section. Now, James, our experts were clearly impressed with the results there. What did Mike have to say about the top independent dealers?
Well, it shows you, doesn't it, just how big some of those independents are, isn't it, really, when you see those numbers and just how impressive they are. The used car supermarkets, they've expanded. They're doing the job extremely well, and some of them are selling great numbers of cars for some fantastic margins. And that's exactly what I chatted to Mike and Tim about.
Yeah, I mean, if we look back over time, we've always had some very profitable used car supermarkets, and they've clearly taken that, expanded out of their regional original base, and are making great returns elsewhere as well. I mean, you only really need to look at the attack from the likes of Cazoo, and you see that some of these independent supermarket businesses have already got a lot of the things that Alex Chesterman's accusing the industry of not doing. They've already got it nailed, and they're doing it well, and they're doing it to the benefit of the customers and obviously the shareholders and the people working within the organisation.
Tim, were you surprised to see an independent like Trade Centre Wales so far up the list?
No, I don't think so. It's just a case of operating really efficiently. And I mean, when we talk about modern retailing, it's about preparing the vehicles as efficiently as possible, buying them right, and then, actually marketing them and selling them as quickly as possible, so you get that churn. And the retailers that are really very efficient at processing vehicles through their businesses and, say, doing the things that outsiders to this industry think have not been occurring, and maybe they haven't necessarily been occurring en masse, but the ones that do it right and have started those operations a long time ago and are finessing, they get the results. And you see Trade Centre Wales there. I mean, it's an absolutely staggering performance.
Now, a staggering performance indeed. Really, really impressive. There are some dealers missing though, aren't there, James?
Yeah, there is, Batch, and that's partly down to the deadline for the results. We originally set February the 28th of this year as the cut-off point, which was pre-COVID. Slightly extended that to the end of March for the accounts this year. But a lot of dealers have used the extension afforded to them by Companies House this year to get their accounts in. Some of them still haven't filed. I mean, notable exclusions from the list are JCT 600, for example, normally a very, very profitable group. They're not on there. We will go back in the new year to this list and update it when some of those accounts come in. But there were also some dealers who just simply didn't make enough money, which I'll let Mike explain.
I mean, clearly there's some people who haven't filed their accounts as yet, so therefore they can't be in the list, JCT being just one of them. I haven't put Inchcape in there because given the way that they report nowadays, working out how much money they've made or lost out of their UK operations would be require too much guesswork really for me to want to put it in there. A couple of the big independents haven't filed yet as well, or then you've got the likes of LSH, who bought the Mercedes market areas in Birmingham and Manchester, posting a significant loss out of their operations. So obviously not ranking within the top 100, whereas they would from a turnover point of view.
Now, G-Forces, what did they have to say about the list, James?
Yes, well, Tim talked to me about how impressed he was at seeing the independents doing so well in the car dealer top 100.
It was heartening to see a number of the independents, really pitching in with some very significant profit margins. And for us as an organisation, when we deliver stuff, it's about trying to get efficiencies into those businesses. And I think the independents thrive on niche, or they thrive on operational efficiency. So when you see organisations occur and appear up the list, that's a great thing for the industry, because the industry has to get leaner, it has to get more efficient, it has to adapt and and really change to survive. And that's the big ones as well as the independents. But I think you find that there's a lot of independents that are operating and doing things slightly differently, but maybe there's quite a few franchise dealers that are still a little bit behind the curve on.
James, now what about next year? I mean, any idea on what we can expect from the car dealer top 100 for 2020?
Well, interestingly, many dealers I've been chatting to this year have just said that they've had a very good performance considering COVID, despite COVID. Many have incurred huge losses during the lockdown periods, but those buoyant periods of sales after the first lockdown, and that has continued towards the end of the year, has actually really helped some dealers. Some, and we'll whisper it quietly, are even saying that they're going to probably make more money than they did last year. So it will be very, very interesting indeed to see how this table shifts in 2021. Mike told me he thinks we could actually see some even bigger numbers than this year.
I'm expecting there to be plenty of people who make significant profit out of this year. As I said, there's been a great return generated whilst people have been able to open, and people have also, pivoted into more personal dealings with the customer, whether it's click and collect or sort of home delivery, etc. And so the industry has changed. And I'm expecting some strong profit numbers. I'm expecting an even harder job at trying to work out what the core profitability of each individual business is, with plenty of people trying to sort of present that in a different way in their accounts. We'll obviously have the furlough income to take into account as well. So no, I think there'll be plenty of very profitable businesses, and I think it'll be very interesting to see whether there are a greater number of independents in the list next year than there would have been for 2019, and whether they have really generated that profitability as a result.
Well, like you say, it will be a very interesting year for a whole host of reasons, not least the publication of the top 100 this time next year. Thank you, James, for that. And as a recap, Arnold Clark has come out overall as the most profitable dealer in the UK, and Trade Centre UK as the top independent. Now, we've only used small little snippets of the interviews James did in this video. For the full-length interviews and to see the entire top 100 list, visit cardealermagazine.co.uk. But until next time, thanks very much for joining us, and goodbye.